Welcome back. Today, we're diving into a story that's about 2,500 years old, and it completely flips the script on what we think of as a miracle. It's got everything: cosmic journeys, gods who don't have all the answers, and a really profound lesson about where true wonder actually lies. So let's just start with a question. What's the greatest miracle you can possibly imagine? Flying, reading minds? Well, according to this ancient text, the answer is something way more powerful. And surprisingly, it's something that's accessible to every single one of us. All right, so our story kicks off in the bustling city of Nalanda. The Buddha is staying there, and a very devoted, well-meaning guy named Kevaṭṭa comes up to him with what he thinks is just a brilliant idea. Kevaṭṭa is basically saying, look, this city is already full of your supporters. If you just had someone perform some amazing public miracle, you'd win everybody over for good. You know, it's a very human request, right? We all love a good spectacle. We want to see some proof. But the Buddha's response is just a flat no. Kevaṭṭa, being pretty persistent, asks him again. And again, the Buddha refuses. So he asks a third time. And for the third time, the Buddha simply says, "That is not how I teach." This firm refusal kind of makes you wonder, okay, so what is his way of teaching then? Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting. Instead of just saying no and leaving it at that, the Buddha breaks it all down. He tells Kevaṭṭa that he has personally known and verified 3 different types of patiharya, which is a Pali word that basically means wonders or miracles. The first one is exactly what Kevaṭṭa was asking for: the wonder of psychic power. You know, this is all the flashy stuff: being in many places at once, walking through solid walls, flying through the air, even touching the sun and the moon. It's your classic superhero-style miracle. Now, here's the Buddha's critique, and it's brilliant. He says, imagine a believer sees this and runs to tell their skeptical friend about it. What's that friend going to say? Well, they could just dismiss it, right? Oh, that's nothing special. That's just a magic spell, like the Gandhari charm. It doesn't actually prove anything because it can always be explained away as just a trick. So the second type of wonder seems a little more impressive: the wonder of telepathy. This is the ability to know what's going on in another person's mind, to be able to say, this is exactly what you're thinking, this is what's in your heart. But you guessed it, the Buddha applies the exact same logic. A believer tells a skeptic, and the skeptic can just as easily say, that's not mind reading, that's just another kind of magic trick, maybe like the Manika gem charm. So again, the so-called miracle is unconvincing. It's ultimately useless for genuine teaching. And this brings us to the crucial point, the third wonder. This is the only one the Buddha practices and praises. He calls it the wonder of instruction. It's not about some external display at all. It's the guidance a teacher gives when they say, think like this, don't think like that, practice this way, let go of that, develop this quality inside yourself. And this slide shows you what that miracle actually looks like. It's a clear, methodical path for training your own mind, not some secret spell. It starts with sila, or ethics, which is all about learning how to act in skillful, beneficial ways. From there, you develop samadhi, or concentration. That's how you train the mind to be calm and steady. And all of that leads to panya, or wisdom, the deep, direct insight that can only come from a well-trained mind. This, the Buddha says, this repeatable, verifiable path, this is the true wonder. Now, to really drive this point home, the Buddha tells Kevaṭṭa this incredible story about a monk in his community who got obsessed with a very particular and very, very big question. The monk's question was basically a physics question, right? He wanted to know where the fundamental building blocks of the entire physical universe, earth, water, fire, and air, just come to a final absolute end. You know, where does reality just stop? So to find the answer, this monk uses his powerful meditative abilities to travel outside of the human realm. His first stop is the lowest heaven, the realm of the 4 great kings, and he poses his question to the gods who live there. But the gods are totally stumped. They say, we have absolutely no idea, but you should go ask our bosses. The gods in the next heaven up, the Tavatimsa realm, they're much wiser than us. They'll probably know. And so this epic journey begins. The monk goes to the Tavatimsa gods, who then send him to the Yama gods, who then send him to the Tusita gods, and so on, just climbing this cosmic ladder, realm by realm. And every single time, he's told the next level of gods is more glorious, more powerful, and surely they must have the answer.
So finally, the monk reaches the very pinnacle of existence, the Brahma world. He comes face to face with this being known as Mahabrahma, the great Brahma, the one who is supposed to be the creator of the entire universe. This has got to be it, right? When the monk asks his question, Brahma doesn't answer him. Instead, he just starts reciting his own grand titles. I am the great Brahma, the conqueror, the all-seeing, the Lord, the Maker, the Creator, the Father of all that has been and shall be. You can just feel this incredible tension between the god's bluster and the monk's simple, direct question. Well, after the monk presses him 3 times, Brahma pulls him aside, away from the other gods, and whispers the truth. He basically says, look, monk, to be honest, my followers all think I know everything, so I couldn't just admit this in front of them. The truth is, I don't know the answer either. You made a mistake. You bypassed your own teacher, the Buddha, to look for an answer out here. You should go back and ask him. And just like that, the monk zips from the highest heaven right back down to where he started. He goes to the Buddha, admits his wild goose chase across the cosmos, and asks the question one last time. And the Buddha tells him, Monk, you are asking the wrong question. The issue isn't where physical matter ends out there in the external cosmos. The right question is an internal one. Where do name and form, the mental and physical parts of our own experience, where did they cease without remainder? It's a total shift from physics to consciousness. And then the Buddha gives the answer, and it's this incredibly poetic and profound line. He says the answer lies in consciousness without feature, endless, luminous, all around. He explains that it's here, in this state of pure boundless awareness, that the 4 elements find no footing. It's here that name and form, our entire constructed reality, simply ceases. The answer wasn't at the edge of the universe. It was in the nature of consciousness itself. And that brings us right back to the beginning. The greatest miracle, the true wonder, isn't about manipulating the external world. It is not a magic show. The real miracle is that internal transformation that comes from instruction, from practice, and finally from understanding the boundless nature of your own mind. That is the wonder that truly sets you free. You know, that monk's cosmic journey is such a powerful metaphor. It really makes you wonder, in our own lives, when we're searching for big answers, how often are we looking way out there in the heavens when we should really be looking within? Where else are we all asking the wrong questions? Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.